to The Traveling Introvert. Today we're going to talk about airline loyalty. I realised I haven't done a travel one in a while. It's not because I haven't been travelling. It's just because, there's been a lot going on. All right, so travelling and being loyal to an airline. A lot of people, especially now with there's low-cost airlines, there's ultra-low-cost airlines, and where I do a lot of traveling, there's maybe 3 or 4 big airlines. So why should you or shouldn't you be loyal to a particular airline? A lot of the time when people are shopping, when they're looking for flights, they're looking for availability of the flight, timing so that it fits in well with what you want to do, and cost. And that's great. And over the last trip I took a flight with an airline that isn't my airline of choice. And here's the differences in how I traveled. When I'm traveling with my airline of choice, because I am a frequent flyer with them and I have a certain level of membership with them, I don't worry about if I miss the connection, that they're not going to make sure that I get my next flight, or that I'm not going to be taken care of in some way, shape or form. I've definitely been stuck in an airport due to weather, and they've put me up in a hotel and put me on the next flight out. They've even rerouted me. They've, on the odd occasion, rerouted me to an airport that wasn't my original airport, because I was like, well, I can go to this airport instead. And they managed to do that for me. That was something I didn't have to worry about. I knew all the procedures. I knew how to check in. I know I can check in on my phone for this, or if it's international, I know I have to get to the airport. I know what the lines are like for them because I have status. But with this other airline that I traveled with once before, but it was a day trip from San Francisco to LA, but this one was a different trip with a layover, and it was only a 45-minute layover. That was the best time they had. And so this trip was different from a mindset point of view. I went, I checked in, I couldn't check in online, or they had what was called like an early bird check-in process, but they didn't let you know if it happened or not, which I found really interesting. So I ended up messaging them and tweeting them and be like, hey, I paid for this extra thing, but I don't know if it happened. Well, how will I know? And they're like, well, we do it 72 hours beforehand, but you won't know until 24 hours beforehand. And I'm like, but if it didn't work, then it's too late for me to do anything anyway. So there was that form of communication. And I got to the airport extremely early because I didn't know what their lines would be like, and it was over the holidays. And so I ended up spending extra time in the airport that I wouldn't have done normally. And then their boarding system I didn't know about, and so wasn't sure, do I line up over here? Do I line up over there? Does it have to be numerical order exactly, or is it just a rough, assessment? It was very, very different. It wasn't stressful per se, but it definitely, I wasn't on autopilot. I had to be paying attention and asking questions and being unsure. I spent a lot of extra time in the airport that I wouldn't have done normally, a lot of extra time lining up that I wouldn't have done normally, getting on the plane. Was I getting service? What kind of service was I going to get? What were the options? Because each airline has different drinks options and food options, etc. Do I have to pay with a card? Is there a TV on the plane? All these little things ended up, it was not a bad travel experience. Oh my goodness. But then when we finally get to the end destination, it might have been because it was that time of year. It might have been, this is what they normally do. But I got told, your luggage is on carousel 1, your luggage is on carousel 3, your luggage is on carousel 5. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Your luggage is on between these 2 carousels. Have fun trying to find it. It was a mess. And there was no tracking for my luggage, or the airline that of my choice, my preference. I can track my baggage. I know if it's got on the plane or not. And there's something very satisfying about knowing that your luggage is on the same plane as you. So as much as it was fine traveling with another airline, and I would probably do it again, I realized looking back that the time that I lost and the stress that I had and just the general sort of awkwardness might not have been worth it, cost or time wise. And so this was just a different view on why to be brand loyal to a particular airline, because if we do something often enough, it becomes autopilot. And so with an airline that I know how to check in, I know how to book, I know the whole process. And yes, it gets tweaked, but that that's one less decision-making thing that I have to do per day, and it makes my travel easier. Thank you for listening. This is Janice at The Career Introvert. Please email me with any of your questions at janice@thecareerintrovert.com. Looking forward to helping you grow your business and your career with your introversion.